Hello, this is Michael Mantooth, and this is my Doane University General Chemistry 1 or Chem 125 Interactive Advanced Concept Presentation for Week 5, also called Penny Oxidization. And basically what we're going to be doing today is taking some old and rusted pennies and going to be removing that rust using some vinegar, some salt, and just some water to stop the reaction after we're finished. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some vinegar into this container. It calls for 1/4 vinegar and 1 teaspoon of salt, but I'm probably going to double it just so that I can have a little bit more down there for my pennies to sit in. So I'll do 1/2 cup and 2 teaspoons of salt, basically, just to have some more stuff to sit in. So I've got my white vinegar. And then I'm gonna take my salt. I'm gonna do 1 teaspoon. And that's basically 2 teaspoons. And now I'm going to mix it until the salt has dissolved. Might take a sec. So basically what's going to be happening in this experiment while this is dissolving, I got the right thing, right? Vinegar and salt. Okay, so basically the pennies are made up of copper, and over time, as the copper is exposed to oxygen in the air, they mix and a copper oxide is formed on the pennies, or basically the pennies are rusting when that copper oxide is forming on the outside. And so whenever we mix the vinegar and the salt, we're creating an acid, and whenever we will put the pennies with that rust on them, the copper oxide, basically the acid made up of the vinegar and salt will dissolve the copper oxide off the pennies, and we'll be left just with the copper. So hopefully can't really see it great, but like pennies like that, they've got quite a bit on there. We've got some in this one. Let me get the really dirty pennies. This one looks too clean. A few of these look too nice. But once put in, the copper oxide will react with the acid of the vinegar and salt, and it will dissociate and dissolve, and we'll just be left with the copper pennies afterward, because the copper oxide will dissolve. And then after the reaction's done, once we take it out, we're going to put it in the water right here, because the water will neutralize the reaction. If we didn't put it in the water and neutralize the reaction would continue, and the pennies would actually turn this bluish green color after being reintroduced to the oxygen in the air. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put half of a penny in for about 20 seconds. And as this half of the penny is in, the reaction should be occurring to part of it and not the other half. So I'm going to give this a sec. And my hand might be moving a little bit, so I don't know if it'll mess it up how it looks afterwards. I'm trying not to move too much. I might have dipped the penny too far too, to where the whole thing's in there, but we'll see. Oh wow, so you can already see, especially on the back side, if you can get the light on there, half of that penny, that rust is coming off. So you can see already with it there. So I'm gonna take some of these really rusty ones and throw them in. These pennies are too nice. So I'm gonna throw in these really rusty pennies. And I'm just gonna mix it around, but I mean, I know it's submerged, so they're all getting covered, but just to help it out a little bit. Wow. And as you, even just looking at it, they already look so much cleaner. They were very dark and brown beforehand. But once getting introduced, that rust is, wow, being broken down. Being dissolved by the vinegar and salt solution. I'm gonna take one of these and just set it out and see if I can get it to turn a bluish green color. But the rest of these, you can already see how much cleaner they are on that light. Wow. It's pretty incredible. I'll put them in there to stop the reaction. But as you can see, we basically cleaned these pennies. There's one left. Look how clean that is. That's incredible. We removed the rust and cleaned these pennies using vinegar and salt, creating an acid that is reacting with the copper oxide and removing it from the copper itself, the penny. So that's really cool. I might have to grab all my pennies and do this to them. The penny's still wet, and it's starting to get a little bit greenish blue, especially down in the crevices, but it might take a little bit. So I'll just leave that there and see what happens afterwards. But we were able to clean them. That's pretty cool. I'll have to keep that in mind anytime I have something that's rusted over. Thanks. Bye.